Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Look, like I said in my last video, I think that all of this price action here that's been scaring people today, in the end, it's just going to be noise, even if we go lower, and maybe we do. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. I insist it's not going to matter. You're going to look back when this market cycle's over. If I were to bring this moment up by the time the cycle's over, you will have forgotten it. Like, this is going to be insignificant. But that being said, what should we focus on then? Well, for this video, I thought it would be fun to share with you targets in terms of like an exit strategy. I've talked about mine before, and for those of you that are unaware, I'll talk about mine briefly, but there's a post from another XRP community member who wrote in pretty great detail what his strategy is. And so I always find it interesting to learn what various community members' exit strategies are when they're going to take profit. It's just a fun topic of conversation and great content for a video. And there's no right or wrong answer necessarily. I mean, you'd have to do something pretty freaking stupid for me to say that actually is wrong. And so maybe that does exist. But broadly speaking, whatever your plan is, it's probably fine as long as you've crafted it for yourself and then you stick through, see it through. I always worry about people getting too greedy because this is something that is going to happen. Even if you've got your plan, you're convinced you're going to go through, but then you start worrying, oh my God, what if I'm selling too soon? And that is greed. That is, when you start to have the worry, oh God, what if it goes way higher? That is greed. Just be very careful with that. I'm going to follow through with my plan, period. Because if I'm offered the prices that I'm targeting, it's going to be life-changing. So even if it goes like 5 times higher than that, whatever, I don't care. I just don't care. But anyway, it's always an interesting topic of conversation. And so this individual, there's some overlap in what I'm going to do and against what he is intending to do. Though there are certain things he's doing that I'm not. Now, that's not a critique. I'm just going to share what I think and share what he's planning to do just because it's an interesting topic of conversation. So do not take anything that I'm doing or that I state I'm doing differently as some sort of slam. I don't think that his plan is unreasonable at all. It's just not what I'm doing. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So I'll be real brief on what my plan is. I've talked about it pretty in depth here. Some people are reasonable and think it makes sense, and then some people yell at me and tell me I'm an idiot, and those are the actual fools right there. Like the people that tell me that my targets are too low, no, they're not. I'm removing risk from the table. In fact, I took on way more risk than most humans on the planet, spending like what some would consider to be unsafe, unreasonable amounts of money to buy XRP over a span of years. I did that intentionally, so that's more risk up front, because if I'm wrong about where XRP would ultimately go, then maybe I just lose all that. But on the flip side, I will be able to achieve life-changing wealth at lower price levels. That was my plan all along, okay? I'm not trying to hit the top, but if you're trying to sell the top of the market, you're going to fail. You can't do it. It's a fool's errand. So just like it makes sense to dollar cost average in over a span of years, it makes sense to sell at various targets. And you don't have much time because when the peak comes, you're in euphoria mode, the entire market is, and it's a very short-lived period. So you may have years to accumulate, but in terms of scaling out, not so much. So for me, I might sell, maybe 5%, when XRP is like $4.50, maybe something like that. So safely in new all-time high territory. If I do that, the only rationale there would be to pull out my initial investment, because somewhere around there, if I sell like 5 or 6%, roughly around that price range, that's what it'll do for me. My average buy-in price for XRP is 25 cents. And I have a boatload of it. It's my largest individual position. And last I checked, it was about half of my entire crypto portfolio in terms of what it's worth. So it's gigantic. I went big on this, but that's why, again, I say I don't need to take on this crazy risk. Like, I don't need to ride this thing to $20. Although, let me just say this though, because I might a little bit. So I plan on scaling out the vast majority of my holdings between $5 and $8 if we're presented with those price ranges, which I think is pretty damn conservative, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised if we don't hit that. I don't know if we're going to. It's not a price prediction, but I'd kind of be surprised if we don't hit that. I think most people probably agree that's kind of conservative. I'll not be surprised if XRP hits double digits. I'll not be surprised if it goes over $20. But when we get up there, I may save, depending on other factors, 10 or 15% of my portfolio, my XRP holdings specifically. And then I may hold on and risk it, hoping we go higher, and maybe scale out all the way up to like $20 or so. That's fine. Now that will be dependent upon other profit that I may or may not be able to take prior to that. If I've secured a bunch of profit, I might be willing to be a little bit more risky with my XRP, and that's why I don't have a firm answer, despite the fact that I've been holding for 7 years. It's dependent upon what happens in the real world, and that hasn't happened yet, so I can't firmly answer. That's it, and I've been stating that forever. So I think that's reasonable, and also, once I take money out in profit, and I know that this perhaps isn't what most people do, but I'm very strict with myself. When I finally do start taking profit, that money's out for the cycle, period. None of it will be reinvested. If I take any profits and reinvest in crypto, it will be in the depths of the bear market, and even then, probably only about 10% max, because I want to go into wealth preservation mode. But I will be investing heavily in XRP and other coins, even if I sell all of it in this bull run, which I hope I do. I hope I'm enticed to sell. I will still absolutely be purchasing XRP and all sorts of other coins at the depths of the bear market, which is going to come at some point after we have the fun part coming up in 2025. And look, I understand, and I do believe, like, if I were to take those profits and reinvest, I strongly believe that if I did that, I'd probably be better off financially. I bet that I could probably, because look, I'd only put it in something that hasn't run up yet. And even if I just go like for a 2, 3, 4, 5x, nothing crazy, I bet I could pull that off. But there is risk there, some amount of risk. And maybe you'd say it's a small amount of risk, and maybe you're right. But I don't care. Because even if that's the case, my tolerance at that point is no risk. Because I've already been at this for 7 years, and I'm going into wealth preservation mode. That's what this is all about for me. So anybody that wants to take profits and reinvest, I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, for a lot of people, you may come out way ahead because you're doing that. It just depends on what your risk tolerance is. So it comes down to personal preference. It's not right or wrong, per se. And so there is this post from, I'm not sure how to say the name, Bassii, Bassii. And I came across this because Charting Guy reposted this. And anytime somebody's talking about their strategy and where they think price is going to go, I always find it interesting. It's always a fun topic of conversation, obviously. And so here's what he had to say. XRP plan and price target. It's my own and according to my own bag and my average buy price. I'll give the percentages at each price. If you want to know some of the logic behind it, let me know and I'll try to answer. And he wrote here, if 2017 fractals are followed. And many analysts have noted that to this point, they actually are. I've seen tons of analysts say that this market cycle looks a lot more like 2017 than 2021, which is music to my ears. That's fantastic because that was the most bonkers price action we've ever seen for XRP. So structurally, it's the same. Yes, please. So he says $4 to $5, he'll sell 15% of his bag. Then he'll wait for confirmation of following 2017. And if confirmed, then $7 to $8.50, sell 80% to 85% of his bag. Then he says he's expecting a drop of about 30 to 40%, which there's from historical perspective, that happens even in bull runs for XRP. Absolutely. There's been massive pullbacks. But that doesn't necessarily mean the party's over. Anyway, then he says around $5, he'll buy back maybe 50 to 60% of what he sold. And then $25 to $35, try to sell 90 to 95% of his bag, scaling out, starting at $20 piece by piece. Okay, so that's the part where I'm not going to do that, but there's nothing wrong with people if they're willing to take on more risk, and maybe that will go exceedingly well for them. I acknowledge that. I just don't have that risk tolerance. I've taken on sufficient risk for the better part of a decade, and I'm ready for my profit, and I'm ready to go into wealth preservation. And then, since this is still going to be, this investing in this asset class will still be an incredible vehicle for life-changing wealth, even over the span of the next 10 years, I'm just going to do it over again. But I'm very strict with myself. I insist that I protect my profits once I take them. I will not sell anything, even though I'm telling you straight up and being honest here, I think I'd be better off if I reinvested them. I'm just not going to do it. Because I'm not going to put that at risk after all of these years and everything that I've been going through. it chance in hell. But it doesn't mean I'm wrong, and if you're going to do the opposite, it doesn't mean you're wrong. Yeah? That's fine. And then he says, if 2017 fractals are invalidated, and this is where he's going to be a little bit more careful, he says, at $4 to $5, he's going to sell 15% of his bag, and then at $8 to $10, sell 70%, and at $20, aim to have sold 90 to 95%. So if it doesn't go, if his estimation, it doesn't look like it's going to be a copy of 2017 more or less, then he's taken some of that risk off the table, not aiming to purchase more. And he says, if fractals are invalidated, I will not be going back in the market after any selling. Fractal validation equals big weekly candles starting this week with all-time high in 2 to 3 weeks. Fractal rejection equals any red weekly candles for the next few weeks, or if we do not reach $5 plus by the close of week 4. Like I said, this is my current plan. It's customized for me, for my buy price, for my risk appetite, and for my needs and plans for life. So this is absolutely not financial advice. Just take this as one of many different plans and customize your own based on multiple different inputs. If my plan changes or if there's any new data, I'll be sure to update you all. Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable. That's the right approach. He's doing what's right for him, and then he's just having fun sharing what he's thinking, what he's planning to do, which, again, like I said, I think it's a fun conversation. That's why I'm making a video about it, obviously. I'm always curious about what people are doing, where they think XRP price is going to go, where we might peak, and how you aim to make sure that you secure that life-changing wealth along the way. Then he reposted that, and this morning he wrote, XRP update. Daily reds are not really a concern. What we care about is a nice green weekly candle close. Technically, doesn't really matter if it's small or big, as long as it's green. In price terms, this week just needs to close above $2.09. If we do, then yes, we remain on track to follow 2017 fractal blowout this bull run, and on track for $8 to $9 in a matter of weeks. Can you imagine if we're sitting here a few weeks from now and it really is that expensive for one XRP? Whew. It's going to feel so surreal, and I will have sold by then almost all of my XRP. Just to think that it actually could finally be happening and that quickly. I don't know if it will that quickly, but it could. It's an exciting thought. Like, we're going to get there. Anyway, then he says a breakdown below $1.96 could be a cause of concern as well, but that's from a technical analysis perspective, not a fractal one. We just care about the weekly close, not the daily movements. Follow great analysts like Leb Crypto, Credible Crypto, Dom, and Charting Guy. And that's the guy, Charting Guy is the one that reposted this, which is the reason I came across this post. I'm glad I did. It says, follow them for some solid insight on these movements and for their insight. Stay strong. We stayed cool when we were green, when it should have been red. Let's stay cool when we are red, when we should be green. Yeah, sounds pretty reasonable. And I follow all those analysts, actually. So I agree with them. Yeah, they do good stuff. So anyway, you guys can scream at me in the comment section and tell me how stupid I am. I don't care. Just do whatever you want. But I'm not budging on this. I am doing what's right for me, period. You can't tell me that my level of risk that I'm willing to take on for myself is wrong. I mean, well, you can, but that's a stupid thing to say. That's a really stupid thing to say. Okay? It really isn't. It really just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't mean just because I sell lower than some people are willing to sell, it doesn't mean I don't think it's going higher. I do think XRP price could go higher. It could go way higher. I acknowledge that, but it doesn't matter. I can't know the future, so securing profit is always perfectly reasonable. I will not be mad. I'm not mad at myself for not calling, the winning lottery numbers from last week because I couldn't know what they were going to be. Similarly, I don't know where the market peaks. So as long as I get something that works for me, that's what matters in the end. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.